KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're the Real Estate Rat Pack. Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Every morning.
Yeah. Our guests are looking at each other like, oh my gosh, who are these guys? And what have we gotten ourselves
We're the
into?
Real Estate Rat Pack. You know that, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
The Rat Pack how?
I've got it in stereo.
You got it in stereo every time.
I missed it last week. I was in San Antonio for the Texas Association of Realtor Conference. Had a great time. Learned
That is correct. How'd everything go over there?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. A lot of things are going to be changing in the industry. And
change is good.
Change is good. And it's inevitable. So
right.
There we go from there. So we've got a pretty exciting show today. This is I can't call you a team anymore. It's somebody I wanted to have on the show for probably a year. And every time I see him at networking events, I go, David, I want to get you on. It's David Young,
David Young.
And Tamara. And Tamara, your last name is Mannen. Yes. So welcome to the show.
Good to be here, partner.
Anyway, he's very gracious to come join us, and he's got a great story to talk about. So one of the things we always like to ask a lot of our guests are, how'd you get into real estate? So kind of talk about that. So we were talking about it a little bit this morning before the show started.
Well, it happened back, the 80s in Houston was a very different time for a lot of people. And I'd had a very successful company, but when the Texas banks failed, they kind of took me with them. So in 1991, I was looking around, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I had liked real estate and felt that that might be the route for me. And probably like many of the listeners out there, they might have come to real estate or thinking about real estate as a second career. So in 1991, I made a total career change, and at that time joined Henry S. Miller. And everybody thinks that you get into real estate and you're going to make a lot of money. It's easy.
It's easy, isn't it?
Picking up money off the streets.
Anybody can do it.
So I don't mind, and I've told this story before, but my first year I made $29,000, and that was a long way from where I'd been. So if you've gone to the bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's back to the top.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that a little bit. How you started. You started with Henry S. Miller, and then you kind of evolved into this mega company, basically on your own.
Well, there's if you're successful in one industry, kind of as an entrepreneur, there's really skills that transfer over. But it's really a lot of hard work. For 20-some years, I've worked 7 days a week. And I continue today, and not necessarily because I have to, but I love people. I love the business. And I really like the looks from the top of the ladder better than I do from the bottom of the ladder. So there's something to say about that.
And you were actually an engineer by degree.
Yes.
And so how'd you make that transition? Because you were working for a company, oil.
Well, I had always been in engineering sales. I never got the engineering degree to sit on the board or to do that. It would always have been in a marketing and sales way. So those concepts carried over, very well. But it takes a while to develop your real estate skills. And I kind of kid and say, when I went to college, everything done in the mathematical world was done on a slide rule. And that was before calculators, before computers. And if we look today, what a world of difference there is. And we're going to talk about that some today and how we've had to go back and reinvent ourselves and how the industry has changed, because it's been a phenomenal ride, but you have to be willing to go back and retool yourself.
I would agree right there. One of the things we talk about all the time, I grew up in the technology field. And, I hold in my hand right now, in 1970, we didn't even have enough megabytes to go on a normal computer. And now you hold in your hand more power than we had 30 years ago. with these mega computers that IBM was putting in these big areas. And so you're right, technology has had a big change over that period of time. Individuals now can conduct complete transactions on their phone or on their iPad, But as we talked about as well, what I like, and something we talked about between the break, is there's nothing that's ever going to take away, though, from the try and true way of shaking somebody's hand, of getting back to the basics of knowing who your client is and truly developing that relationship.
Something you touched on that is huge for me. It's a hot button for me. I talk about it all the time, and we were talking about this before the show. You said you work 7 days, and you don't take a day off. And for me, I said when you love what you do, why would you stop doing it to take time off?
Oh, yeah.
I play all the time, and I call it work, and I love what I do. And when you're building a world-class team or a company, you have to have that connection to a passion and to a love, because without it, you're not going to have the energy it takes to build that world-class team. Somebody who's out there running around being a realtor just because they lost a job or did whatever else, and now let me go ahead and I guess I'll sell houses.
The default career.
Yeah, the default.
You know what? I'm not worried about my job. I can always go sell real estate, right?
That person
it's easy.
That person will never be able to compete against somebody that loves what they're doing, and that's selling homes.
Has the energy.
Because you want to do it 7 days a week. You're able to jump in there and compete at a much higher level, and that's I know a big part of why you have reached where you have.
When you see a lot of agents come and go, and you've sustained, and of course David always a credit to me to have been doing the first or second deal he ever did, which was back in 1990 some year, and but you've seen a lot of people not make it. What do you think the difference is that you've done so extremely well, and then some agents just drop out?
Well, I think so much of it is your work ethic. There's 27,000 agents in Houston today, and most of those agents might only do one or two transactions a year. But if you're going to make it a career, you've really got to put yourself to the grindstone with it. Education is extremely important. But the other thing that is, I think, critical, and the reason why we've got a lot of wonderful, successful agents, is they develop relationships. And that's really the bottom line of it. And a relationship that I'm extremely proud of, and one that I've had for almost 18 years, is my relationship with the Ciccarello companies, with Vincent Ciccarello and his wife Mary and Kelly and Jim Miller and Tom McQuilling and all of that group. I've been fortunate enough to be the listing agent for those properties for 18 years now. But the only way that you maintain that relationship is performance.
So we'd send an invoice over to Ciccarello companies for
and let me tell you, that's something very impressive. Obviously, we know Ciccarello companies. We know what they build here in town. We know their model of excellency and the type of home they build. The fact that you've been doing business with them for 18 years really says a lot about you and your organization. To be able to maintain that, to be able to put that together, to be able to maintain that over a long period of time, 18 years with a builder. Most people don't realize how difficult that is. I mean, I can't stress that enough.
Well, I'm sure. And we can't tell a story because I was told we can't tell a story, but he actually took that account from another well-known broker, and it turned out to be a huge success for David.
It's 18 years.
We're not going to get into that.
Yes,
it's more to secrecy.
18 years into it, and let me tell you, they still build incredible homes on the Ciccarello companies.
But back to relationships, I think is really the key, and the other change that we've seen so much in our industry is to see it go from 20 years ago. A lot of it was part-time housewives. Well, today it is young people coming into the business, college graduates. They come to it as a career. Due to the legal ramifications today of real estate, you can't be a part-time agent and succeed, because we're in a very litigious society. So everyone out there that is not a real estate agent but looking for someone, make sure that you work with somebody who makes it a career and is knowledgeable, because they're going to help keep you out of getting into something you shouldn't get into.
I always think about those part-time agents that
Right.
say, I can't talk right now. I'm at my job.
And I know my wife's probably going to call me up later and saying, tell him there's no such thing as a part-time housewife married to you, Chris. But no, that is funny, though. I think you're right. One of the things I've seen a lot more, I've been going on 12 years in the mortgage business, and I work, obviously, all my relationships are with agents. That's who I develop over a period of time. And one of the things I've seen is, you're absolutely right, the agents who used to be part-time, you don't see as many anymore. They're taking it now as a career. They're actually seeing this is something that you can do for a long term. This is something that if you develop it the right way and put the right processes and procedures and relationships in place, and you truly have it as a business, you invest back into yourself. We talked about that during one of the breaks. You invest back into yourself, and you take it seriously. It can truly be a career. And that is something really, really neat to see.
Yeah, and we were talking about this early out on Memorial Drive, which is where your office is. It says David Young and Company, Coldwell Banker. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Who composes that piece? That who's in that office? And
Well, I purchased an office building about 10 years or so ago at the time when I wanted to start the team, and there wasn't room down at the office for Henry S. Miller. Shortly after that, Coldwell Banker purchased Henry S. Miller, and I maintained that relationship, and the other tenants were moving out of that office, so we were fortunate enough to have Coldwell Banker Memorial occupy the entire building. I basically had the team for a number of years, but realized that in order to continue to grow, we needed to broaden the base and broaden our name. So we went from David Young Team to David Young and Company with a little tagline of Houston's Corporate Boutique. And we work with under the Coldwell Banker Memorial umbrella. We have 15 agents plus our staff, which we'll talk about a little bit because we're very different than most quote teams would be, and we do a lot of support, for our agents. Today the energy corridor is such a dynamic area of our city. We're fortunate enough to be right in the heart of it. We work very closely with the manager of the energy corridor district. And he came for a presentation recently and said there was 26 new office buildings being built in the energy corridor. We're looking at another 40,000 people. What does that spell? Opportunity.
yes.
And I can absolutely see it because I go up and down I-10 living out in Katy and working off the city center area. And the cranes in the air are absolutely tremendous. And you're right, your office being right over there is, right past Eldridge off of Memorial is absolutely incredible. You're seeing all the development that's going on. And as you mentioned, I mean, those aren't small buildings. They're not building 1 or 2 story buildings.
BP's building on that campus of theirs, and everybody else is, kind of going to say.
Well, you've got Phillips 66 and their new corporate office going on right there on the corner of Eldridge. They've got multiples. Shell's made a big investment in their corporate campus right there. Technip has now put 2 new buildings up as well. I mean, you can go on and on to talk about all the oil and gas development that has been going on.
They got to live somewhere, don't they?
They have to live somewhere. And then all the way out to Katy, you still have all the new development going on with Geico putting their new call center out there, the Mason Park area. I mean, just incredible some of the things that are going. And David Young Company is right in the middle of that.
and
we love it.
Successful, exactly. So the typical teams are typically you had a buyer's agent and that, but you were talking about it earlier that you've really kind of evolved from that. You actually, if someone needs a big company, you're a big company, but if somebody likes a boutique, you're a boutique. So you've kind of covered the ground, which is a really interesting and different concept out there, and it seems to be working for you pretty well.
Well, we've never believed that, I shouldn't say believe, there's a lot of good models. Our model was never one where we had buyer's agents and listing agents and then pass files along. What we wanted to do was to give our agents the tools to be young entrepreneurs, to be able to build their business as big as they could build it and give them all the tools to do so. And we'll talk about that probably in the next segment here of how we've grown.
I would absolutely agree. We are, this is somebody who's done radio before, by the way, knows exactly what those signals look like. But we are coming up against a break right now. Again, you can always reach us at 800-808-5548. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I won't dance. Don't ask me. I won't dance, madam, with you. My heart won't let my feet do things that they should do.
Are you looking to finance a new home or refinance your existing home? Look no further. Call Chris Kelso at Willow Bend Mortgage. Willow Bend Mortgage is a mortgage banker in the greater Houston area. In business since 1993, Willow Bend Mortgage offers a great array of products from FHA, VA, and USDA loans to conventional and jumbo loans, all with great rates and incredible service from Chris and his staff. Call Chris Kelso at Willow Bend Mortgage today, 713-256-9138, or online at chriskelso.com. Again, that's 713-256-9138 or online at chriskelso.com. Available 24 hours a day. Great rates, exceptional service. That's Willow Bend Mortgage. I'll be right there. I've got to get the clothes out of the washing machine. Why is there soap everywhere, honey?
Not all home warranties are the same. OneGuard Home Warranties, in business for over 23 years, has plans designed for Texas. Whether you're buying, selling, or if you own a home, check out OneGuard's great protection for your home systems and appliances. They really offer more, including convenience features other companies haven't even thought of, like lawn fertilization and a very extensive pest control plans included, to name a few. Contact one of 3 awesome Houston home warranty representatives, Natasha, Sandra, and Bill, and see why they have one of the highest renewal rates in the industry. Call today or have your realtor or title company call OneGuard at 888-896-0014. That's 888-896-0014. Or visit them at OneGuardHomeWarranty.com. You've seen the rest. Now buy from the best. OneGuard Home Warranties.
Does it matter who does your real estate inspections? You bet it does. You want someone knowledgeable and experienced, someone you can rely on and trust. You want A.B. Bowles Home Inspections. Owned by Ashley Bowles, A.B. Bowles Home Inspections makes client satisfaction a priority. You'll get detailed, easy-to-read reports. Plus, they'll take the time to explain the report to you before and after the inspection. If you're investing in real estate for your family or as a business, call A.B. Bowles Home Inspections at 832-306-3723. That's 832-306-3723.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
And I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
You know, when the jet is landing and we're coming home from a long trip to Vegas, the only car the Rat Pack wants to see on the tarmac is a beautiful stretch limo from Dimensions by Dan. Their cars are really gorgeous, but it's the over-the-top customer service that the Rat Pack really loves. So no matter what your occasion, give them a call at 281-590-1101. Ask them about the Rat Pack special, and Dan's really going to take good care of you. That's 281-590-1101, Dimensions by Dan.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. Boy, time flies when you're having fun.
It does.
And when you got a great team and great individuals in the studio, it makes it even easier right there.
I've admired this group for a long, long time, and I talk about them. This is how you do real estate.
Right.
And to do it. Now, Carol Payton Young, you've got a story to tell too. You know, you were with team leader for Keller Williams Metropolitan, and then you went to corporate in Austin. So, talk a little bit about your career, because you're a big part of the team.
Well, I am. I was with Keller Williams. I got in real estate many years ago, and I found that I liked real estate, but I loved the part of it that inspired people and looked for innovation and coached people. And I was contacted by Gary Keller, about 16 years ago, about the opportunity to join forces with Keller Williams. And I said, you know, Gary, I'm really not interested in getting into management. And he said, oh, that's great, because we don't believe in managers. We're looking for coaches. And the rest was history. So I was with them for about 14 years, and they gave me a tremendous platform to understand leadership, to understand personal growth. And I enjoyed that for many years.
And you're well known in the industry and well respected throughout the country. And Keller Williams has got great training. They have a great background. There's, like you're saying, there's a lot of models out there.
There's just so many models out there that are so good, and leadership is just a springboard to decide what you want to be. And now that real estate now is more of a business than it's ever been. Every real estate agent has got to look at themselves as the only CEO of a major corporation they're ever going to own. And so they've got to run their business like that, whatever their model is. And there's so many shiny objects that are thrown at us, and so many things that everyone says, well, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do this. What you have to do is decide what is important in your business and make that turn and understand that still the consumer is in the middle of the business, but the consumer is more savvy than they've ever been, and they expect a real estate agent to be savvy. And it is that relationship that is going to make us the success that we
Well, I always say,
be.
the consumers can get the information, but they don't have the experience. So they can go out online and get all this stuff, but they don't necessarily know how to put all the pieces together. And that's where we come in as
well,
professionals.
that's right. And the thing is, information is not data. Information, it is the real estate agent then that takes all of that and says, okay, this is the pertinent data that now relates to what you're trying to do so we can get to where you're going.
Just like going to the doctors, they're looking at all that data, they're getting on the charts from all the tests you've taken, and they're with their professionalism and their experience, they can tell you what that means.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much the same thing. Same thing in mortgages. Same thing. You can
Absolutely. And what Carol was saying was true right there is, one of the things that we see is there's information overload out there. One of the things, and in fact, I'll give a story, and it's not real estate related. When my daughter was born, she had a congenital heart defect. First thing I do is go out to the internet and find out what that means and what it looks like, right? Boy, I had to get off the internet really fast because there's a lot of data out there that is inaccurate data, right? Same exact thing that goes on with real estate. A lot of individuals, and I see it all the time, they'll go out there and say, by the way, I see this online, or I see this, or I hear this, etc. And what it really is that's an experience that somebody had, or that's somebody posted out there. That's not a representation of truly what you can qualify for, or where you want to buy, or the negotiation process that's currently going on. And so a lot of times it's about getting out there from an information perspective. And don't get me wrong, I love everything that we have out there. And we are fortunate to be in Houston where we have HAR. The number one, there is no place anywhere that has something like HAR. However, even with that being said, though, you need to go with a professional. You need to get with a team like the David Young and Company group, and you need to be able to find out how to disseminate that information, because there are a lot of things that go into negotiation, to contract, putting in place correct contract, to understanding the process, not only the loan process, but the buying process. When do you need to go ahead and do an inspection? What process gets set up? How do you know how to select a good title company? And all that's information, Carol, that we've talked about. That's very important that you walk through that process.
That would be Capital Title, wouldn't it? One of our great sponsors.
They are a great sponsor, and they are an absolutely incredible title company right there. But what I was really getting to is some of the things I think Carol was talking about is knowing how to put those things together, and more importantly, know how to work with a group that can truly provide that value to you.
Well, I think that's true, too. And we were talking about how savvy the consumer is. But being in the energy corridor, another thing that people need to know is that we are, we act very locally, but also we are acting very globally. And 60 to 70% of clients that David works with are international. So are you getting these exposure, both with the Houston market, but are you getting it exposed digitally? What is your digital experience? Is your listing got the content marketing? Now we have a whole media department, not just because I like show business, which I do, but someone said in a commercial one time, they said, so you're a an actor trying to be a realtor. And I said, no, I'm a realtor trying to be an actor. But
And that's what I talk about. I'm a radio show host, but I am a real estate guy that's doing radio, not a radio guy that's doing real estate. There's a big difference.
But those consumers, and we keep saying, we need to get it on video. Well, why? Because video is heavier on the web. And so it picks it up much quicker. And we have someone that's just into content. So that content has got to always be changing. So there's so many things that are exactly right, Chris. It's the backstory from the negotiations and how is it positioned. And there's so much on the back end that you don't see that goes with getting it from the initial marketing globally to the very end result, which is walking away with a satisfied buyer and a seller. And
you said just one little point, but again, it goes back to, we always say on the show, work with experts. We need to get on video. Why? Well, first of all, because I'm an expert, and you hired me to be your expert. Simple answer: Google paid billions of dollars for YouTube. Mm-hmm. Someone thinks it's important. Right? It's that simple.
Well, yeah, no, and agree. And and one of the things most people don't realize is that we went to an NRG event in which Mr. Young, you were up there talking about building a successful company and team, and there was a great dance that was on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, that you know how to imitate pretty well.
We won't talk about that.
But you're right.
Next question, please.
Be happy that's a radio, because we be replaying.
We make them get up right now and do it. Yeah, all night.
I kept my clothes on, didn't I?
Yes,
you did. Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
So that was a great event too. So, and I think people had great takeaways from that. And I think what most professionals now see is that it's a consumer's market. They are driving the bus, and we need to know how to work with them and make sure that they're getting that experience with a professional.
One of the biggest things I think we can say about that also is, we talked about this during the break. Several individuals in this studio have done business with each other, okay? And no other individuals we've had on the show in the past we talked about have done business with each other. Part of being a professional, and let me tell you, is when you're doing this full time, you end up getting to know people. And so part of that experience we talk about that you can't get data is the relationship aspect also between agents. It works very good whenever you know how to work with other agents, whenever they know you, they know your reputation, they know your style. There's a big difference in doing that.
It's so much more fun whenever it plays nice in the sandbox.
A lot of agents look at other agents as their, quote, competitor. You can't do all the business, but if you really make friends and you're professional and your ethics are there, you're going to be a lot better off than trying to put yourself on an island away from it.
And we use the term co-opetition, because the person that you might be competing for the listing, you might be bringing the buyer for that if you didn't get the listing. So it's always a place where we do business with each other. And you've got to be able to be a professional. And you know what? If I was out showing and I saw David Young was a listing agent on that, I'm going to go show that house because I know how it's going to be working with David. And if there's some that are contrarians, and there are a few out there, and Carol, we talked about earlier that there are some egos out there, I might be disinclined to want to work with them.
And the thing is that our clients don't deserve that. We should work in concert with each other. And I really do think as the models are changing in business, I think the models of looking at each other as competition is out. That we don't look to compete with each other. We should look to complete each other. And
you complete me.
That is complete the transaction, and to do it in a harmonious way. And we get caught up, or some people get too caught up in all the little battles along the way. And it's not that at all. Yep. And we spend a lot of time brailing the consumer.
We primarily hire us for two reasons: to be objective and be great negotiators. And you know what? I think that's where we probably need a lot of the work is to be objective, because some people just get fired up and start taking things internally, and that's what they want to have removed from the equation, is to not get emotional about it. And for the buyers and sellers, it is emotional, but for us, it should be, this is business, and that's the way we need to do it.
And Rob, in the next segment, I think as we talked about, I'd like to take you from kind of where we were, what our past was, and where we see the future going.
Because that's funny you should mention that, because that's exactly where I wanted to go. The real estate is going to be very different 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and we may not even recognize it. And that's why I want to see where we're going. And,
right.
and I know they have a plan.
And real estate's real different even right now. I mean, if you look at where real estate is today versus 5 years ago and 10 years ago and 15 years ago, there's a progression that's taken place over that period of time, and it has really, really changed quite a bit. So,
I think we're coming up.
Are we coming up against a break yet? We are up against the break.
Yes.
She's shaking her head. So wait till next segment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
As sure as you live, something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gotta give. When and if.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Your application was denied for credit reasons.
I'm sorry, sir. Your credit score is too low to qualify for a home loan at this time.
No.
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 Are you tired of being turned down for credit? Have your dreams of home ownership, a new car, or even a promotion at work been shot down because of poor credit issues? Well, it's time to start dreaming again. Improve My Credit USA, the consumer-voted #1 credit repair company in Texas for 3 years running, can help you find a new direction for your credit. For a free consultation, dial 281-914-4116. That's 281-914-4116. It's a complimentary consultation, and a certified credit consultant is waiting to speak to you right now. Start dreaming again and call today. 281-914-4116. Improve My Credit USA. I think that you can agree that you're not the same person you were a year ago. Something changed, either because you had a death in the family, new job, or about to purchase a home. Allow the team at Jason Jimenez Insurance Agency to protect those areas of your life that mean so much to you. Their goal is to provide peace of mind for your shelter, transportation, business, or life. The Jason Jimenez Agency is a second-generation insurance company that's been ranked in the top 1% multiple times. They're dedicated to being there for their clients when it really counts. Call today and become part of the family. 713-270-0073. That's 713-270-0073. A friend will be there for a friend. Allow Jason Jimenez to be your friend.
Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Anderson Properties, the fastest growing real estate company in Houston. Over 400 trained professional realtors here to serve your needs in 21 locations in Houston and across the state. Whether you're buying, selling, or leasing, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Anderson Properties is the smart choice. Check us out at AndersonProps.com today. Find out why so many choose Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Anderson Properties for all of their real estate needs. You know us, we know real estate. Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
We are back, having a great time as usual.
Well, you know, sometimes we don't want to come back. The conversation and the break is, it's so great.
Exactly, especially with me when you do a Freudian slip and then you have to correct it during the break.
Exactly. But, we had a nice segue when Carol was talking and Dave were talking about, what the future of real estate looks like. So kind of expand on what you think it's going to look like. And Tamara, you're being kind of quiet back there, and that's not in your style.
She's being very quiet. She's reached for the mic a couple of times.
And I'm just going to...
I think we need to introduce her first, and then more importantly,
we did introduce her. Tamara Mannen. Yes, we did.
Okay, again,
pay attention.
We've been speaking so much. That's why.
And Tamara's got a background also as a team leader for Keller Williams, and then she decided to go have babies for a while, and then once real estate gets in your blood, you can't leave it. So she's back. And
yes.
she couldn't have got herself with a better group.
It's funny. It's rare that I stay clear from a microphone. I just kind of gravitate towards them.
Okay.
But you guys are talking about such great things that, I want to make sure they get right. But I will talk about one thing I wanted to touch on is you asked David in the beginning why some real estate agents are successful and some aren't. And I did want to touch on that. I was also with Keller Williams for like 13 years and with Rob, and we recruited
you were
a
like
lot
10 years old, weren't you?
I know. I started at 10. No, we were responsible for recruiting hundreds and hundreds of agents. And although that brought a great opportunity, what I also saw so many agents fail. Really great people that I thought would be wonderful, but they failed miserably. And when Carol and Dave and I came together and created this model, we were like, why is that? What is it? Well, what I see is real estate agents will pick a company to associate themselves on strictly an economic model. meaning they get to keep more of their commissions. They don't really look at the marketing or the coaching or the what's really going to make them successful. So choose a company that is going to promote you and do the things. A real estate agent, think about it. You're the CEO, you're the salesperson, you're the accounting, you're the marketing, you're the conflict negotiator. I mean, you're everything.
And you're janitor. And
So exactly. So associate yourself with a strong company. And David Young and Company, what we provide is the marketing platform. Carol is kind of like she's a promoter. You know, she puts these videos together and we write scripts and we make sure we call it Googleability. All of our agents, what's your Googleability? So you can sit at a listing appointment and if you're going up against somebody else, you can say, Google me. And when they see that you and your business are strategic.
20 years ago, if you said Google me, you would have gotten slapped.
Right.
You called me what?
So we saw a need in our industry for a model that provided the marketing and the promotion and the coaching and the training and all of that so that real estate agents can do what they do best, and that's build the relationships. So tying back into the relationships. So they spend their time on the front and we're the backstory, which kind of brings us into where we're going. Once we started David Young Company and really building these agents, we also saw a need for the entire industry to be educated on the innovative processes that the consumer is expecting from the real estate agents. And Carol and I, coming from such a strong training background, just kind of organically started bringing speakers to Houston and opening it up to all of the companies, again, talking about not competing with each other, but completing each other. And we're really excited about the events that we've brought to Houston that we're sharing with all the companies, because at the end of the day, we are passionate about improving our industry as a whole, improving our agents as much as we can. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, Carol, and Young Intelligence. Or I could keep talking.
What we did for about a year, I did for about a year before we really rolled out David Young and Company. I actually had what I call a real estate laboratory. And I studied different trends. I studied different cultures. I studied Zappos. I studied Google. I studied so many things. I had focus groups of buyers and sellers. I put everything together, and then what we did after we spent a lot of time saying, what do we want to do? We then put together a standalone company called Young Intelligence, and it's all of our deliverables, that everything from our media to, like she said, getting everybody ready, that they have their Googleability. But what we have found is that there are different agents that would come to us and say, I don't want to leave my company, but I love some of your deliverables. So we actually, next month, will start beta testing Young Intelligence in the Dallas-Fort Worth market with agents that are with other companies so that they can actually select deliverables and we do the bundling for them. And,
describe the deliverables.
Deliverables are in different medias. We have landing pages that are interactive that serve as like websites. So we can have different e-magazines. It might be we have different life magazines that are for different companies, like Eldridge Life. Murad Fiki has Eldridge Life that's coming live, that has everything that's going on in the Eldridge area, that kind of has the feeling of the old Life magazines.
One thing Carol discovered in all of her research was, as you said, HAR is extremely powerful. The majority of your consumers in Houston are going to go to HAR and search for properties. Now, websites are great, and if you want to go spend $10,000 on a website, TamaraMannen.com, that's great. However, for the most part, people are going to go to HAR. So that's where the landing page came in. And the landing page is about your community, and it's a .com, and that way it tags on, to HAR. Associate yourself with these, the power that we have here in Houston. So that's one of our deliverables is the landing page.
One of our deliverables, and we want to show each of our agents what is their corporate soul. So we have different culture videos, and so because consumers want to do business with people that have the feeling, what are you putting back into the community? And so we have got all of that goes on that they can take, and then we still have some print, but make sure that everything supports it. Everything supports everything.
Consistency.
So you have your brand. We help you develop, you being the agent, their own brand. Are you being the builder? Or when we take your listing, at that moment, we develop your brand, which is your home. That's the brand that we're developing now. So we have to know, I think, that we have gotten, in fact, we use a book that's not a recent book, but it's so powerful, and it's Blue Ocean Strategy.
Yeah, great book.
And Blue Ocean Strategy basically is this. For years and years, you would swim in an ocean, and agents would go, "What's so and so doing?" Well, we're going to top what the other person. We have jumped out of that red ocean, and we're in the blue ocean, and we create uncontested markets. And we are doing things that have never been done before because we keep our eye on the consumer. And what does the consumer want? We're not trying to top what the other agents are doing. We don't care. We wish them luck. What does the consumer want? What are the Fortune 500 companies doing? We want to talk that talk.
One of the things you mentioned, and I love that aspect, people ask me all the time, they say, how are you in relation to this person or that person? I tell everybody is, I don't know. And it's not something, I don't measure myself against what somebody else is doing. I measure myself against what I did today and where I want to be tomorrow. Mm-hmm. That ultimately, that's one of the things it's absolutely refreshing to hear. Too many times people are trying to it's the one-upmanship, it's the keeping up with the Joneses, it's that, you know what, who cares? Do your own thing, be your own person, create your own market, do what makes you happy and do what makes you successful, because that's what's going to end up continuing to grow. If you're always looking about what someone else is doing, you're always chasing. You're not leading.
And you're copying.
Basically. Right. That is correct.
And what works for one group does not necessarily work for another group. Let's kind of open this up. Maybe everybody can talk about this. As we talk about the future of real estate, how it's going to change. Kind of give me some thoughts on that. So, Carol, David, Tamara.
I'm really interested. Mentioning Blue Ocean Strategies, I'm a big fan of that book, and I read all the time, constantly. And that book was recommended to me by a very thought-provoking, industry kind of changing person in the insurance industry. And he said something to me that was really fascinating. He said the average age of an insurance agent is 57. He goes, the average age of our agents in our company is 33. Right?
Yeah.
So he was all about saying we want to flip the dynamic on what an insurance agent is. And he told me about this Blue Ocean strategy book and read that. Real estate has been very much the same for a long, long time. And everybody commonly is approaching the market of real estate is just simply how do I make a better mousetrap, right? Instead of looking at is there an entirely different way to catch a mouse. And I think there's some big changes in the winds coming for real estate, and those agents will be completely blindsided. So I want to hear what you guys have to say on that for sure.
To go along with that, coming up on Monday, we are promoting through Young Intelligence a seminar here with what we feel is the guru of the future in real estate, Stefan Swampel. And it's open to all agents. We're not totally sold out yet, but close to it. So if there's any agents out there that would like to see what the future of real estate looks like, we're going to talk about that in the next segment and what Stefan Swampel brings to the industry.
Is it open just to agents?
Oh, absolutely not. We've got builders.
Now, we might let you in.
Yeah.
Now, we only have about 40.
For you,
see where I'm headed with this.
Well, if you're a consumer and you're interested, listen, it's the largest investment you may make. Look and see. I mean, are you going to be, is your property going to be with somebody that is embracing the audience?
Builders are going to be
in the credit improvement industry.
Right.
Obviously, my industry is very connected to real estate.
Absolutely.
That's where the primary source of our referrals come from. 60% of our business comes from the real estate community. So we're always very much watching where the industry is headed and what's going on. So,
well, we only have 40 seats left. So if you would like to come, you would go to youngintelligence.com and you can register.
Well, I plan on being there after the board meeting and that because I've heard Stefan many times.
He's amazing, isn't he?
He's phenomenal. But you also have a very strong panel that's going to be there.
And that's youngintelligence.com.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, by the way. It says culture is our brand. I absolutely love that. We are coming up against a break right now.
Got to pay for the show.
Absolutely. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
A little bit of me and a whole lot of you. Add a dash of starlight and a dozen roses too. Then let it rise for 100 years or two. And that's a recipe for making love. It doesn't need sugar, cause it's already sweet. It doesn't need an oven, cause it's got...
Down Under Pools can help make your backyard a focal point for luxury outdoor living. Imagine coming home from a hard day's work and enjoying the evening in a spa-like environment with pool, water features, and lighting integrated seamlessly into your home and landscaping design. Down Under's design team has a seasoned eye for color, scale, proportion, and detail. Even more important is Down Under's commitment to the highest quality construction practices to achieve the highest standards of hydraulic and structural integrity. Down Under is one of the most creative and trusted pool and landscape builders in Houston because of their award-winning design and construction and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Visit downunderpools.com to see examples of what could be in your backyard. That's DOWNUNDA pools.com. Down Under. Pools for the mind, body, and soul.
Are you a homeowner frustrated by an ugly problem? You know, plain and unsightly bathroom mirrors? Now Miracle Frames offers a beautiful, affordable solution to an otherwise time-consuming and expensive project. Their unique process frames the mirrors you already have without tearing them out. You'll save time and money and easily upgrade the look of your bathroom. Miracle Frames has free experienced design consultants to help you select the frame that will enhance the beauty of your bathroom. Call Miracle Frames today, 866-953-7263.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back with Chris, Joe, and Rob.
I still want to get Sigmund to come to the events. I want him to announce everybody as they come in.
That'd be
and
great.
Here's David.
David Young is in the house.
It's always on the vowel, so it'd be David Young.
Let's make that happen.
I'm not going to compete with that.
Well, we are coming up against our last segment. As we tell everybody, this is
I'm having a lot of fun. Can't we just have another hour?
Exactly. We told them at the very beginning we could be here all day.
Yes.
We could keep this going, but unfortunately,
why don't we just pretend the mics are on?
We just sit here and talk.
I'm really curious to hear. I don't know if it's putting y'all on the spot too much because you might want to say, "Oh, I don't want to talk about that." But we were talking during the break, and we had mentioned a book, Blue Ocean Strategies. Big fan of that, which is all about trying to look at where is a problem that needs to be solved that nobody else is looking at. That's really the short version, I think, synopsis of the book. But where do you guys, looking at real estate and with all the stuff that's going on with Zillow and all that, their acquisitions and how they're approaching the market and all that sort of thing, what do you see as a change, where the industry is headed, and how are y'all looking at it and preparing for it?
Okay, well,
everybody's
actually, I know. Who gets to go first? One of the things that we did, and I think that's kind of what you're talking about in the laboratory, is we know that we run about 5 years behind New York and California, our East and West Coast in real estate. We also know we run about 5 years, real estate in itself runs about 5 years behind corporate America. Those two markets in corporate America are just on the front end, and we kind of lag. So what we do is we study what they're doing. One of the things in New York and in California that they're using, again, is the video, is the technology behind it, staying savvy within that technology. Carol touched on it. Our consumers are so savvy today, and they have information at their fingertips. So a real estate agent can't just walk in and say, hey, I'm going to find you a house. You have to show your value more than ever before. And in New York and in California, how they do that is they have sophisticated marketing that the average consumer can't do, that a .com can't do. What are you going to do that's different? What are you going to do that's better? So kind of to talk to you about what we see with the real estate industry changing and the consumer changing and technology being ahead, you better be ahead and use that technology to set yourself apart from the average. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much.
And that's kind of about our deliverables and what we offer to the agents.
And at HAR, we've been telling people to get videos for about 10 years now. We set up a studio there, and there's still people, and for $99, they can go get and do a profile. And you know what?
They don't use it.
Handful of people do it.
It's funny. And we have a studio in our office, a full-fledged studio. We have a media production. I mean, it's amazing what we have. And our agents are really using it and are attracted to it. But it is funny. We notice, okay, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that, because they're self-conscious.
They're not comfortable.
They're not comfortable. So we will write the script for them. We have we have teleprompters, that they can read off of. We have little scarves if the color doesn't look right that you can throw over.
I think I like smashing their scarf, don't you?
You would be surprised how many people are, they shy away from it. So
But once they get comfortable with it,
we don't understand that. Carol and I are like, action, on.
But I think you ask how everything is changing, and I think that Starbucks has taught us that experience is everything. And so that's what everything is. Great the point. Experience. We don't have a lobby. It is all a very cafe. We even have our own brand of coffee and tea, which is
wow.
Forever Young coffee and Forever Young tea. We even have the .coms that we're going to be developing, and we have our coffee and our tea. We even have a small baby grand in our lobby. But we try to make everything an experience. An experience, my consumer are the agents. Their consumer are the buyers and sellers. We identify that. We have done so many things that we're excited about. We had about 3 months ago, someone called me to see if we needed any help from a high school, a junior high student, and he was trying to make money. I found out later to give his dad, so his dad could pay his child support for him, so he wouldn't go to. But when I interviewed this person,
now that's an interesting scenario.
Yes, I interviewed this little boy, and I realized he wanted to go to college to get a master's in business. From that, what has happened in our office is we now have our own program, and they're called the Youngpreneurs. And we have kids from 9 years old that come out in their ties. One walks across the street from the grade school. We give them etiquette in a business meeting. They all have projects, whether it's social media or whatever, and they are learning business. And that is our gift back to the community. So we are really trying to touch everything that we use. We have now got clients say, can my child come? They come. They know they have etiquette. They have manners. They have behavioral assessments. And they have a little thing that says, I am a youngpreneur. Hashtag youngpreneur.
Carol, Stefan Swanepoel talks about this, and he'll be talking about it on Monday, that one of the strongest assets you can bring to a company is culture. It beats everything. You can have the products, you can have the model, you can have everything. It's culture. And Carol comes from she's a culture guru. I mean, it's just in her blood. Sometimes I'm like, calm it down. We don't need another project.
It's coming from like-minded people coming together with a common vision of what the company is.
Yeah. So, if you teach your agents, it goes on so many levels. If your agents are feeling the culture and what we give back to the consumers and to our community, they'll stay. They'll want to be a part of that. And then the consumer, you're still touching the community. We do Lemonade Day, and where the kids come and the kids do lemonade stands, and it's again encouraging the entrepreneurial spirit. And they, all the money that they raise, they give to a charity. I mean, Perfect. And we make a big deal out of that. And we also get our agents involved, and we do it right there on Memorial Drive. So the whole community. I mean, it's a win-win across the board.
We made kissing balls, beautiful kissing balls that say "Kiss Breast Cancer Goodbye." And I mean, we do things that, and you know what, the downside of it is we have to, as leaders, be willing to get out of business with some people, because to keep that culture pure, and people want to be around people that are happy and that have something of higher meaning. That you know, my big why is to inspire people to be as good as they can be. And you know what? When we're inspiring the agents and we're inspiring the entire community, and from young and old, you know, isn't that what business really ought to be about?
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. You know, one of the things I tell everybody is success breeds success, right? Mm-hmm. And so you always have to make sure that's part of your culture. You always have to make sure that you bring in individuals who have that. The other thing, and I can't talk about this enough because I do this every month. In fact, we did it, you know, Rob knows and Joe knows about this, and Joe does it as well, his events. But I believe in the higher calling. I believe in giving back to the community. You know, one of the things that we do is every single one of our loans that we close, we donate to a non-for-profit organization. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because there's so much fun to get out there. It's so much fun to impact somebody's life, to impact somebody's ability to make a change, whether it be on a local level or a national level, such as, you know, fighting off breast cancer. There's so many things out there.
It reinforces that behavior. So
it reinforces the behavior.
You touch somebody, they may not be your charity, but they're going to reach out to another one.
And that is correct. We're really big flag wavers. We believe in that so much. And if you go by on the 4th of July or Veterans Day or any of that time past our office, you'll see 200 American flags out there waving. And it's not that we just believe in honoring those that have served this country so much. I won't get on the bandwagon about that.
It's okay.
It just comes from the heart. But one thing I do want to emphasize, that if there's anybody out there in the audience today that would like to go to this seminar, there is roughly 40 tickets left. It's called The Future of Real Estate Revealed. It'll be featuring Stefan Swampel and a wonderful panel from throughout the industry. There are seats still available. They're only $49, and you can go
lunch
online.
At the Junior League.
And it's at the Junior League, and lunch will be served.
So I have to correct you on one thing. There's only 39 tickets left.
Well, it's going to be amazing. And I think that when you as a consumer are an agent, you are going to leave that with the industry is changing. And am I going to be a part of this new beginning, or am I going to leave my mark on history?
So, David, what do you want to leave people with today?
It's been a great ride, and I'm not going off in the sunset because I'm still involved. But it's been very rewarding to see that if I can go back and kind of retool myself at my age, what can happen with the young people coming up today that grow up with a lot of this. But how can we help you narrow that down to what's going to be the most successful for you? I love entrepreneurs. I love seeing people successful. And if I can give some of my past along the way, then it's been very, very rewarding. And we really thank you for the opportunity of telling our story today.
I'm very honored that you all came today.
Well, I want to say something, too. And again, Carol and I have worked with some of the top teams across Houston and have been in business with some of the greatest talent that Houston has. But in all my years, I've never been with such an honorable, respected man as David Young. I have never worked, I mean that wholeheartedly, with a man so honorable, hardworking, and just amazing.
I couldn't recruit him, so I married him. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Now that is a focused recruiter right there.
Very focused.
Taking one for the team.
That's dedication to the craft right there.
That's commitment.
I love that.
That's hilarious, and it's true. I know.
And Carol, how about you? In 30 seconds, what would you like everybody to leave with?
I just want everybody to leave with that real estate is such an exciting business, and I'm honored to be in it. But it's never before. I think if I could define what young intelligence is, it's just strategies. We get so much thrown at us is to get a strategy with everything that you're doing.
Have a plan.
And we are so proud to be a part of the community. I'm so honored to have Bob. We appreciate everything that you
Rob.
and HAR has done. I mean.
Well, you know, one of the things we leave every week, we leave with a quote, and today's no difference. It says, "To be successful in real estate, you must always and consistently Put your client's best interest first. When you do, your personal needs will be realized beyond your greatest expectations. You know, that's one of the things we talked about today is this is a great team. Thank you all very much for being on board. If you want to hear more, go to therealestateratpack.com or visit us on Facebook. Until next time, we are out.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy. Yes.